Cool. Welcome, guys, to our sixth AMA. I know it's been a while since we recorded one. Obviously, we've had a lot going on the last month. Has it been a month, 2 months? With the launch of our first product, the StrikeX Wallet. Really, today it's just a general overview. We're going to answer some questions, overview of where we are with each of our products, how the wallet launch went, and really just following through the questions that our community have requested. So Rob, I think you've got one here for you first. Ledger integration, any updates?
Yeah, so NFT and ledger integration, we're looking at putting into version 1.1. So it's been roadmapped, it's been defined, the project has been costed and agreed and scoped with the development team. And as soon as we've finished just tidying up the launch build and making sure that all of the issues that we have are resolved, it will be one of the first things that you'll see in version 1.1.
Awesome. So soon.
Yeah, soon. I mean, I'm loath to put a date on it because obviously, we've been, continuing to improve the algorithms that provide the profit and loss and the cost analysis stuff, and we want to make sure that they're right before we add any major additional features into the build. I think we're doing really well with that, and we're seeing sort of updates every couple of days on the database on the back end and the algorithms that are improving those stats, sort of almost daily.
For sure. I think it's important we get everything that's already live absolutely perfect. Obviously, the algorithm being used for the profit and loss, it's been custom made, so it's going to take a bit of fine tuning before we get it perfect. So I think it's the right way to go.
Yeah, absolutely. And we need a certain amount of data for it to work on, right? So if you've only got 2 days worth of data, the reporting is not going to be particularly granular or good from that perspective. So it takes a while to build up enough data to be able to then profile it properly. So that will improve as we move forwards, just naturally.
Awesome.
How are the targeted ads doing? Are we seeing direct hits to wallet downloads?
Glad you asked. It's a good question. So we only recently started with targeted ads on the App Store. We felt it was important to allow the wallet to have, at least a week, just to try and see how much organic growth will kind of be generated through launch. As of 3 days ago, we started our targeted ads on the App Store. And yeah, they're making a huge difference. They've increased the average daily install by 100%. So they're clearly working. It's something that we will continue to do, for as long as possible, because it really is picking up the downloads, and that's what it's all about.
How many active users does the wallet have?
Again, we're comfortably over 2,000 now. Obviously, I know the community will be aware we had a delay with the App Store. So like I said, the App Store has only been live for under 2 weeks. But yeah, we're smashing the App Store for sure. I think that's where the bulk of our downloads are coming. But yeah, we're comfortably picking up downloads across both stores, but in particular the App Store with the concentration of those targeted ads.
Is the wallet generating revenue for the company? Will that be used for marketing, or for what purposes?
Of course. I mean, yeah, the wallet's our first revenue generating product, which is why it's such a huge milestone for us to achieve, to get a wallet out there that people can access all around the world, and which is generating the business revenue. In terms of how it's used, we have projections whereby until it hits a certain number of downloads, until it's doing a certain amount of revenue, it will obviously pay for its development back within 12 months is the target. But in terms of how much that is then spent on marketing, it grows, it scales with the revenue, and it scales with the downloads. So we won't put a figure on it exactly, but it's a percentage. And in this market, it's an aggressive percentage. It has to be able to be recognized and to be able to get that exposure. But it will, of course, scale with the downloads.
Please share the most recent metrics on the wallet: new users, transactional volume, revenue, etc. That's a question for Rob.
Okay, so I think we had a fairly aggressive plan throughout the year. and we have a ratio of expectations for deposits, withdrawals, swaps, etc., and how that's forecast over the year. I think what's really interesting is that we're already pushing into month 3 of our expectations. So the reality is we're effectively 2 weeks in to a product launch, which was delayed by the Apple Store. Nothing to do with our application as it is. Actually, it was a bit of a global issue for Apple. A lot of people may have seen it in the press. They had massive backlogs, thousands and thousands of complaints of backlogs, with people waiting up months to get products launched. So in some ways we were quite lucky to get it done within a couple of weeks. And I think it's really interesting to see the adoption. As I said, I mean, we did have a sort of a forecast for month 1, 2, 3. Well, we have a 36 month plus forecast. We're already at month 3. We're seeing slightly more deposits than withdrawals, which is always good. We're seeing a lot of activity generated on the swap function. I think with the new users, we're seeing pretty good adoption. As I said, we're already exceeding our month 3 target within effectively what is 2 weeks. We're seeing roughly a 2-to-1 ratio, possibly 3, bordering on 3-to-1 between the App Store, at the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. So we're seeing better adoption on Apple than on Android. We are seeing around about a 45% conversion rate for people who search for the app generically without ads. So when people look for product, for crypto and stuff, and they're not searching or clicking through an ad, we're seeing a 43% conversion rate of people who see it then install it, which is good. And I think, yeah, it's pretty positive. Our expectations are in line with what we're seeing. But as I said, we've done effectively 12 weeks worth of our forecast in the first 2. So it's really positive. It's going really well. And if we continue along this vein, we'll be able to accelerate the development work quite considerably and bring the features forward a lot quicker than we had budgeted for, because we'll have more available funds to be able to continue that work.
Will you be demonstrating how to buy listed tokens and telling them beforehand so they can tell all their holders to watch?
Chris, do you want to answer that one?
Yeah, there's quite a broader answer to this. So the key element of our business has always been Joe's passion and energy, and now we have a product that reflects that. So we're looking at compiling a battle plan of sorts to raise brand awareness, which will open us up to external communities and get them participating in more engaging activities with the listed projects, such as live AMAs, QAs, competitions, and get these people interested in our story and using our products. Because once it's in someone's hand, it will inevitably lead to recommendations to friends, family, and we can bundle these activities as part of packages that we can offer to new listings or existing listings with any particular upcoming catalysts.
And I think the other thing to add is, obviously we have 2 off and on-ramp platforms at the moment with access, and obviously we will be adding more as we move forward. So that will open up the market to even more tokens that are listed on other providers rather than just the 2 we offer today.
Can you stake StrikeX in the wallet? That's a question.
Oh no, this is one we've answered quite a lot amongst the community. We will be able to soon on launch of TradeX, which we will get into later on the next product update. After this, it's just a Wallet Connect issue. That's all. We didn't bother updating the original DEX's Wallet Connect package because it's going to be, phased out within a matter of, I won't say days or weeks because I don't want anybody to hold that against me, but it'll be phased out. The wallet will connect with the new DEX, TradeX. So we thought it was just kind of much more important to, focus our resources and development time on getting TradeX out and over the line so people can connect and stake with the wallet.
And I think I'm going to let you, I'm going to give you a sort of we can say before the new year.
Yeah,
I think that's safe enough without Joe getting in trouble with me for giving away days or weeks. I think it's safe to say that we expect that launch to be before the new year.
Yeah, like I said, we'll have to touch more on TradeX in a moment. But yeah, we'll get into that.
How do you see this wallet differ from other wallets, and how are the functionalities developing for the future?
Kish, you've got this one for sure.
It's your baby after all.
Ranting time. So, over the past year, we've had like a significant downturn in the market, and you've seen a lot of meme projects. They've kind of begun turning to provide utility. And the issue is that a lot of these meme projects, they're not run by people that know anything about business or development. So they're buying these ready-made solutions from agencies. They're swapping the colors, swapping the logos, throwing some marketing at it, and you've got a wallet, right? But the problem is that there's no thought to user experience or problem solving involved, and that's an issue at a business level, because at some stage they're gonna come to find that there's no demand to actually using that product, which means there's no business revenue, and eventually the ongoing costs are not going to be able to be maintained by the business, and the product will get shelved. That is a repetitive process. You see it time and time again. What makes us unique is that we've approached the core problem itself. Up until now, there's been no investment tool that can be used by normal everyday people. And that ideology and approach that we have is not something that can be replicated. And with all wallets that are on the market, it took us to say, we don't want a cold app with arbitrary numbers, or confusing buttons or wording, or, we're worried about sending the wrong amount of BNB to the wrong address. Those are all experiences that can only come from being a retail investor. And that's how we're going to make a difference. And any, I think that's going to distinguish us from any disingenuous teams that are thinking that they can compete long term with a product like that.
I think it's important to say, in terms of where we go with the wallet in the future, so following on from the question you have about future functionality within the wallet, we've said from day one, and we say it about all of our products, the launch is just the beginning. We launched V1. I know Kish touched on, other projects, meme projects that will push white label solutions out. They think that's a tick in a box. We've launched a wallet, move on to the next one. Yes, that generates certain hype within an ecosystem, within a project, because you're getting constant product launch. But that's not what we've ever been about. It's not what we're about. What we are about is creating products that we want to use and you guys want to use, our community wants to use as retail investors. And that's why we spend so much time developing pixel by pixel, what we feel is the perfect product, be it a DEX, a wallet, a centralized trading platform. It's something that doesn't happen quickly, and it doesn't, it's a long drawn out experience, and it's something that we put 100% of our passion and time into, is to creating these products how they should be, and they will constantly evolve. And it's worth saying, it's not just meme projects and smaller projects that we feel are guilty of doing this, of launching a product and moving on. It's the whole entire reason why we feel that we could succeed with launching a DeFi wallet. You have projects such as MetaMask, Trust Wallet. They've got 25 million downloads, 5 million a month active users, and their apps essentially have remained the same since they've launched. If they had continued to innovate and continue to push and build with the revenues they were making, we wouldn't have stood a chance, because you'd already have a player, a leading player in the market that's untouchable. Very much how, if you're a new phone maker and you were thinking, should I get into the market? No, because you might think Apple, they're unbeatable or something. You're not going to be able to compete if the leading projects are constantly innovating, and we notice in this space that hasn't been happening. So we launch a product, we have a V1, and we will keep pushing it and keep adding features and keep improving it until we feel that it's as best as it can be. The V1 wallet right now we've released, I'm confident that once all bugs or anything that's been reported is finally tuned out, I think even V1 alone has the potential to be the market leader. But what you've downloaded now in the stores will bear no resemblance to what it will look like in a year's time. We have so many ideas and so many things to put into that wallet. but we're not cramming them all in at once. It takes thought, a lot of resource, and a lot of time. We'll get these products out to you guys as soon as possible, but we want them to be worthwhile. We feel they will be.
Yeah, and I think from my side, it's certainly worth saying that, when I joined the business over a year ago now. It's quite daunting from some perspectives. Looking at it, when we had this product in the beginning, it was ready to launch from a technical perspective. Before the end of our financial year, February, March time, we've put an additional 6-7 months development work into it to refine, improve the algorithms, the graphics, the usability, the functionality, the on-ramp, off-ramp features, swap features. Everything has been, worked, reworked, redesigned. And as Joe says, I think there's a huge scope for evolution of product as we move forward. I'm really quite excited with the technical roadmap for the product. I think it's really, really will make a difference in the market.
Well, I think that kind of rounds up the wallet questions. To give a brief overview of how the wallet is going since launch. It's going to be a huge several months for afterwards as the downloads kind of ramp up and more people hear our names. So yeah, we're really happy with how it's going, and we're really confident that we'll reach these targets because, as Rob touched on, we're smashing the targets already, and we'll hope and we will continue to do so. So I think, go on.
I was just going to say, if you haven't downloaded it yet, go out and download it.
Yeah, honestly, I met somebody a couple of weeks ago. Was it? No, it was less than a couple of weeks ago, just after the wallet had hit the App Store. And he come up to me and said, I was in a pub, and he said, "Oh, Joe, I've been holding StrikeX for a year." Yeah, and I was like, "How's it all going?" And I said, "Oh, have you downloaded our wallet yet?" And he didn't even know we were launching a wallet. So that's, pay attention to your investments, guys. You're meant to be, studious retail investors. If you're holding StrikeX, or even if you're not, if you're holding any of the currencies that we're listing, or you are a holder of a currency that you want listed, download our wallet, and you'll see within a few hours of use, you'll never want to go back to the competitors.
Yeah, and I think one of my main I would say goals, if you like, is to get everybody who has StrikeX using a StrikeX Wallet platform. You don't have to create a new wallet, you can import a wallet. I'd really love to see all of our users on our platform. I really think that would be quite an achievement.
I mean, you guys say that, but there are a significant amount of people that are investing purely because of TradeStrike as well. Like, it's not anything to do with, being against any particular wallets.
No, not at all.
It gives them the opportunity to see what we're capable of. We are no longer a speculation. We're not. People aren't buying into the StrikeX brand now saying, "Oh, this is a punt." It's not. We're developing the products we say we're going to. And I'm sure if you download the wallet and you see the quality that we've put into it, you're going to be a lot more excited about the future products because you know that we're capable of building them.
I think we're actually one of the few projects that I've seen that have delivered a product that's more capable than what appeared in the white papers and the tours and the previews. And you see a lot of projects, they actually generate their images through Photoshop, and then you actually see the actual product. It differs heavily from what's been advertised. So I'm quite proud of what we've achieved, and it's real. Like, what you see is exactly what you get.
Well, let's go into TradeX then. Give a bit of an update and answer some questions on the development and launch of our DeFi exchange. Cool, let's go.
So, will the TradeX platform offer dual asset trading? If not now, is this something you've looked into?
It's something we're aware of. Like a lot of assets in crypto, it all depends on the demand. We've said this about leverage products. We've said this about farming and staking. If there's a demand for it, we'll put it in there. It's not going to be the first thing we get in on V1, but it's something that, while some people might find it a bit confusing or a bit complex as an asset to trade, some people love it. Some people will only trade in stocks, exclusively futures. So some people might find dual asset trading their thing. So if there's a demand for it and it's a growing asset trend, then yeah, for sure we will add it.
So leading on from that, will farming still be available on TradeX, and what percentage API?
I mean, farming isn't available at the moment anyway, but it's something that we will be adding to TradeX, not on launch. The reason being is, we've got a perfectly good staking contract in place at the moment on our original DEX, which we will be porting over to the new DEX. We have a set amount of reward because we're a limited supply token. We can't mint rewards. We're allowing people to stake for considering the market and considering the supply, a generous 9-10% APY. So we'll be looking at changing those staking contracts when the rewards begin to run out, the rewards that we've kind of earmarked to pay for that original staking contract. But we want a whole overhaul of how we offer staking and farming. We want to put as much customization, as much choice as possible into it. But it's not something that's coming with the V1 launch because it's an entire kind of separate product altogether, essentially. So it will be integrated eventually.
Question for Rob. When will TradeX launch? How far along is development? Has beta testing started yet?
Okay. As I briefly touched on in the wallet section, we are hoping certainly to see a live product before the end of the year. So it will be live in the new year. I would like to say it would be a lot sooner, but obviously the outcome of that is dependent on a number of factors, and that's mostly around beta testing and partner compatibility. The development was actually finished until our friend Kish here decided to make it prettier. So that's not strictly true. We are over 95% complete. We have a couple of modules to finalize, which are with partners to provide on and off ramp capability in the DEX itself. So you'll be able to just click on a page, buy, sell, etc. That is nearly closed out now. So we're very much at the final hurdle. Beta testing has started internally, so within the internal StrikeX team. And we will be opening that up as soon as we've completed the compatibility testing with our partners for the on and off ramps. So I'm hoping to see that after the end of the next sprint. So hopefully about 2 weeks, maybe 2.5, depending on the sprint will start on Friday. So yeah, it should be about 2 weeks post there when we open up the beta to the rest of the team, to the extended beta testing team.
I think it's worth saying as well, like you kind of touched on there, it was, pretty much complete. It was complete.
Oh, yeah,
but
absolutely.
we obviously with the delay with the App Store, and actually wanting to launch the wallets and to market the wallet, it allowed us some time to add an additional sprint into the DEX development. So that's kind of why, Kish has made it prettier, but that we've also added additional functionality. It's just afforded us some time to make that V1 that much better. So we're still going to get it launched in Q4. It will just be better than it was originally going to be. So we'll win. No wins there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it was finished probably early from a like for like against the original DEX platform. I think obviously all of us wanted to improve upon it before it launched, and as you say, Joe, I mean, having the issue with the Apple Store launch and the delays there allowed us to fit in effectively 2 extra sprints before we go into beta. So yeah, it's been quite good from that perspective. So when it does launch, it will be effectively what would have been version 1.1 will launch as a version 1. So yeah, really pleased with how it's coming on.
Awesome. I'm just looking forward to it to being compatible with the wallet, essentially increasing our ecosystem, by 100%, doubling the amount of live products that integrate with one another. So it's just bringing in that ethos that we'll be the one-stop shop for anything crypto, anything blockchain. You won't need to use any other third party. If you're using the StrikeX ecosystem, you can do anything you like in crypto. So that's the that's what we're working towards. Obviously you've got TradeStrike as well, which is a whole other beast, but which we'll get into next. Actually, I think we covered enough with the DEX for now. You guys will see updates coming in the coming weeks, promo, sneak peeks, etc. But I think that covers it for now. So obviously the main question that people are going to want to hear, the people that kind of got into StrikeX at the beginning, is because they're high interest in the TradeStrike platform. Obviously, the community will all be aware that myself and Kish are retail investors like you guys. We weren't happy with the products at our disposal that traditional stockbrokers were offering, and we kind of thought, yeah, we can do better. And essentially, that's what we're going to be doing. And it's been over a year in development now. And it's getting to that time. So, we've got some questions here on the stage of where TradeStrike's at. A few questions here about some of the technicality around how tokenized stocks work. So yeah, let's roll into the questions and we'll get going.
Cool. So the first question here is for Rob. How close are we to beta and launch?
Okay, well, the core of the product itself is running. It's all working in containers. It scales out. The programming is very much done for the back end. There are a couple of things we need to do around, we still have to finalize the market makers, liquidity partners, and create the APIs out into the open world to be able to work outside of the sandbox environment. Obviously the mechanisms are there. It's just the partners we work with will have their own idiosyncrasies, connectivity types. And that's really where we are. So that the product itself is working. The calls go into the queues, the order book. It's ready to send requests out to buy or sell or do whatever it needs to with that liquidity or the actions it needs to take. I'm really pleased actually. I think we're slightly further along than I was expecting. We're probably a month ahead of where I was planning. Myself and Joe were actually talking last night with the lead developer around, that choice of market maker and who we choose initially to work with. And I think it's going really well. We've obviously, as with anything, especially something that's been in development a year, our biggest challenge is not to look around at really new shiny things and add them into the platform. However, we also do need to have a product that's new, effective, it works well, and is really valid in the market. So there is an element of ongoing change with that development, but we're trying to keep a leash on Kish and his crayons so that we're not too far delayed. But I think in general we're really pleased with where it is. All of the core functionality is there, and we're now working on just perfecting those mechanisms, connecting to external APIs, and sort of choosing those partners to work with. So yeah, it's looking really good. As to the beta, obviously we've got the DEX beta launching shortly, which will run for at least 2, if not 4 weeks. All of the beta programs will be extended for the next versions as we move forwards, so those beta team members can join in. And obviously we will be looking for new members for the TradeStrike beta program. At this point, I'm a little hesitant to give a date. I expect we will be recruiting those new beta members within this year. When the platform opens, however, will be dependent on that external API, the stock bridging, the liquidity providers, that sort of stuff being complete. Because obviously, we can do smoke testing of how processes work ourselves internally, but it really is essential for the external connectivity and it actually being working for it to be a valid beta test for external users. So I guess that's where I am, hopefully early next year.
Yeah. Well, I think it's important again to say, because it kind of reverts back to where we are with the wallets. If we technically wanted to launch it just to hit a certain date, we could, but why would we We want to make sure it's tested properly. We want to make sure it's functioning and it's what we want. So we're not in a rush to push it out until it's ready just to hit at the end of the year, because it wouldn't be worth it. There's no point, I've seen projects that will have products passed back from their development team and they'll push it live straight away without any internal testing, any beta testing. It's not what we're about, and it's not the way to make decent products and products that sell. It's just not the way to go. So we're close. We're there, as Rob said. We're edging towards the final stages, but we're not in any we're not putting ourselves under that pressure to need to push out to hit a certain deadline. It's coming soon, and it will be released when it's perfect, when it's good, and it's what we want.
I think that's evident with all of the platforms. When we you look at what we've done with the wallet, we could have launched the wallet in February or March, right? Mm-hmm. It did work, but it wasn't what we as a team wanted. And we weren't under an immediate pressure to launch a product. We didn't want to launch a product that would reflect badly or make people question our messaging. So that was pushed till it was at the point we were happy. The DEX will be the same. That will come out when we're happy with it, when it's ready, when we're comfortable with it reflecting what we want the business to show. And the same with the TradeStrike platform. In fact, it's probably more important that the TradeStrike platform is exactly what we want it to be. Rather than we could release it tomorrow. In theory we could throw a few, extra couple of teams of developers at it, get the APIs done and have it out before Christmas. But the reality is that's not going to be good for us, for the customers, for interoperability, for our testing. At the end of the day, it's a financial product. It has to be right, it has to work, and it has to be secure.
Is it okay to ask you, Rob, you've worked with some of the most significant brands around the world. I've seen quite a few comments from our community about not having met some of the deadlines set on our roadmap, the first roadmaps. Is this like a common thing to occur in development, or is this something that's specific to us?
It's certainly not specific to us. I think the reality is the roadmaps were created before, we really had a view on the end product, right? So as I mentioned earlier, all of the products were at the release point, and then we went back and did more. Okay, so what we made an actual decision not to release a product that technically worked but wasn't in line with our requirements. I think absolutely, I've worked with some very large enterprise partners from banks, telcos, large industry, large enterprise, extremely large enterprise, and a lot of their products slip. They tend to slip because you end up with a design team or an overarching management team that want more features in before it goes live because they've seen them somewhere else. You end up with product slip, so scope slip. So what you end up with is, in another business, the owner of the product would see something really cool in a competitor and go, I need that in mind before we launch. And that's usually what causes large enterprise business to slip. And obviously there's a security element. So if you're talking about applications that have any kind of security implication, and unfortunately pretty much all of them do now, I think you will see an element of cycles that go into making sure the security is complete before they release, especially in very large telcos where you have extreme amounts of users being added automatically. And a lot of scope for security issues to become prevalent in the product. So you will see a lot of those very large providers have very significant security cycles that cause it to go and be delayed because a bug is found. They're usually a lot more complicated than the products that we're launching. Certainly the two we've launched so far, I would say when you look at an enterprise product, they're on the light side of functionality and security requirements. Obviously the TradeStrike platform will have a lot more requirement to it, both from a security perspective and a functionality perspective. But I don't think what we're doing is unreasonable. We made active decisions to delay products rather than we wanted to launch. and couldn't. So we actively sat down as a group and said, we want to add these additional things in before we go to market. So I think there is a slight difference in how it's perceived, possibly, and how people see it, because they may not be aware that we sat down and said, right, we could launch today, but the reality is what we want to do is add this, and this function before we take it to market. So I think there is a slight difference. But again, yeah, it is interesting. We see a lot of slippage in product releases until their first release. Certainly, we do see a lot. I've been on projects that are 12 months late, 18 months late, and very large enterprise business. So, it's not unusual. We just have to manage how that affects our reputation and make sure the roadmaps are tailored properly in future as we move forward.
Cool. Thank you.
Cool.
Right. So these next questions are going to be like Christmas for Joe. Please explain tokenized stocks. A, how their price is determined with respect to open market, normal after pre-market, and the new closed market.
I can answer that. It's magic.
It's just magic. I know that I've bored people. I say bored people. A lot of people that are obviously investing in TradeStrike find this interesting. I'm not going to go into the ins and outs of it because I'll be here for hours rambling and mumbling. Obviously, I've released articles. There's a bit of information on our website about how it works. So obviously I will share those to give a little bit more detail. I won't say exactly how we envision it to work in our stock token bridge, because this is something that really we shouldn't be talking about too much just yet, because that's a huge game changer in our market. But aside from our stock token bridge, I'll kind of explain a little bit how tokenized stocks work in general. In relation to your questions, how is the price determined with respect to the open market? You've almost answered it yourself there. It's an open market, so as much as you'll be buying stock on on NASDAQ, it's the buy and sell. It's a free market. That's what dictates the price. It's not pinned or pegged to the actual asset price, which is why it allows you to trade it after hours. The difference being with completely digitized replicas that aren't collateralized by the actual stock is that the stock tokens that we will be providing on TradeStrike are fully collateralized with the underlying stock. So that's quite interesting when it comes to how the market perception dictates the price, and why there's a great opportunity for arbitrage, of course, just before markets close, markets open, because obviously lower liquidity, because the liquidity essentially is out of hours will be what's available on the exchange. Very much if you're used to trading pre-market after hours on the stock market, liquidity is lower. So you do get more volatility. So great for trading, but also the arbitrage opportunities, between TradeStrike through a tokenized exchange to the real world market. So there, of course, is that level of transparency between the two prices when the markets are closed. But when the market opens, social and general marketing overview will make you think that the price you're paying, if it's 20% price disparity on TradeStrike, you're not going to go and then buy. If it's 20% more expensive on TradeStrike, you're not going to go and buy the token on TradeStrike. You'll buy it on, say, a traditional trading platform, and vice versa. And that's why those kind of prices they snap back in line. It's not something that is me putting a thumb in the air and saying I think that's what happens. That is what happens. We see it with FTX. They've offered tokenized stocks. They've offered is it Bitpanda? I think Bitpanda started to. I know Binance, they were still, I think they stuck to normal trading hours, if I can remember correctly. Kish, do you know?
I don't recall, no.
But the best one to kind of look at as a comparison is FTX. Whilst the assets are freely tradable and the price is dictated by market sales, market buys, there is that under-level, market logic that you're going to be paying a similar price to the real world asset because the underlying stock is the exchange. Sure, there'll be arbitrage opportunities.
Cool. So the next one, how does one go about buying and selling with respect to fiat and StrikeX?
I assume that's how fiat and StrikeX is onboarded into the platform.
I think so. I think they just want to know the functionalities between the two.
Yeah, so I mean, essentially, it will be very similar to some of the crypto exchanges. Obviously, you will be able to onboard in fiat, but you'll be trading, initially in with StrikeX. So there's two ways to do this. So the first way, which is kind of not involving a stock token bridge, would be to have StrikeX as the base pair of trading. That obviously has its advantages, but also has its disadvantages because StrikeX is a low liquidity, low market cap asset. So you're going to get a lot of volatility. So people aren't going to necessarily want to trade stocks against a volatile asset. So then you can explore the routes of using a StrikeX linked stablecoin. But without going too much into it, a lot of this is dependent on development of the stock token bridge, but that's kind of a completely different ballgame altogether. Essentially, if you're using a third party to tokenize the stocks, you're very much just, as the exchange, you're basically having them provide liquidity to you as a spot token, but that's it. So in terms of market dynamics and how the price fluctuates, yes, that is determined on the exchange by the amount of liquidity and the underlying price, but you are essentially still onboarding that token via a third party onto the exchange. So it's two different questions there. But in regards to the stock token bridge, we can go into that in the future.
Cool.
Yeah, and just as from a practical perspective, answer to that question. Obviously, the whole point of the platforms being launched is they work together as an ecosystem. So the wallet, the DEX, and the trade platform will all fit together. And part of it will, anything that's available as an option to onboard or on-ramp or buy fiat or move into StrikeX will be available across all of them. So they should all fit together. So just from a practical perspective, that answer, rather than a trading view, but from a practical perspective, you'll be able to use all of the on-ramp services that we have in all of the platforms. They'll be the same across all platforms.
Cool. So the last part of that question then is, how does a StrikeX price come into play during trading?
I mean, this is an interesting one. Again, I often use them as a comparison, but if you look at FTX or Binance, you look at the native currencies they use. Obviously, Binance is extremely different in the sense that it's the native currency of their own chain. But if you look at it, how it's used within their trading platform, you see it's used as a base pair regularly. People trade off of it and trade against it. The price impact that then generates on the token is just dictated by demand. The more people using that product, the more people trading on Binance, the more people using the base pair, that creates the demand of the token. So people will buy the token to be able to do that. And that's essentially what a utility token is, rather than it being used as just a case of saying, I think FTX's token, isn't it? FTT.
Yeah.
Their utility is more of if you hold X amount of tokens, you will receive a slightly discounted trading fee, which is a great idea. It's something that we'll definitely be looking into. But we've mentioned the stock token bridge, our own blockchain in the future. We're definitely more leaning towards utility that Binance has with BNB, and that's the way that basically the price is dictated by demand. We're a supply, we're a limited supply token, so we're a fixed supply. We're never going to be able to mint tokens, so it's the price fluctuations in the token are dictated by demand, and that demand is led by product users. The more product users, the more people will be using the StrikeX token. That's why the price will move up. or down. If people don't want to use the platform, people sell their tokens, it goes down. It's supply and demand, isn't it?
Cool. So this next question is about blockchain related. Has the development started for our blockchain? What are the most important features for the StrikeX blockchain? TPS, security, gas fees, customizability, interoperability, etc.
Interoperability. Yeah, so obviously we haven't released any official information about the blockchain. I've mentioned and said what our intentions are regarding it. We have roadmapped it now. We've begun scoping this now. We know, what it's going to take, what it's going to cost, how long it will take, and what it brings to the ecosystem. Obviously, the whole idea of us generating users onto our platform is that, onto our platforms such as TradeStrike, the wallets, the DEX. Right now, you're paying gas fees to the Binance Smart Chain. So that's essentially money leaving the ecosystem. If you're generating that sort of level of use onto another chain, it makes a perfect business sense to build your own chain, which is why why it's roadmapped at all. It really allows us to tailor it to our products, but it also benefits the users because the users will be able to buy stocks, buy tokens on TradeStrike if it's being where originally before we were thinking about building our own chain, the drawback to that was that you wouldn't be able to really take them off of the platform. If you've got your own chain and your own native currency, there's the whole opportunity, the whole idea there that you can move those tokens around anywhere on the chain, potentially off of the chain depending how we're building it. But we're building an EVM based blockchain, so the level of interoperability is extremely high. There's a lot. Polygon, Ethereum, pretty much any proof of stake blockchain really, they're following the EVM compatible chains. In terms of the gas fees, we're not going to be able to say that until we've tested it, until we've built it and tested it and scaled it. The benefit of what we're doing is that we are building it first as wouldn't say a private blockchain. It would be classed as a Rob. What is that? What is the name?
So for me,
not an institution blockchain.
Yeah, it's really about providing an enterprise grade platform, right? For me, it's about innovation and security and availability. So we want to make sure that our products and any products built on it are not affected by the load, so that there is availability there, and it's a minimum of 5 nines availability during the year, which means there are very minimal outages, very minimal performance issues. We want to make it as secure as possible, and I think doing it ourselves gives us a massive scope for innovation. There's some really interesting things you can do on a blockchain, some of which are being done privately, some of which are being done in the DeFi world. I think there's a really great opportunity for us to lead, innovate, and provide. We've all seen issues, like major issues on some really big chains out there, really big chains with massive performance issues and delays and processing issues. And really the aim for us is to provide a chain that doesn't have that issue underlying it, so that we don't have those issues with our products, because we can control and make sure that the availability is there.
That's it. Consortium blockchain, that was the terminology I was trying to get at.
Sorry.
So no, we were close with enterprise, weren't we? It's essentially, we can't give too much away until we've really started further down the development route. But as Rob said, the level of security, is our main concern, because obviously there's one of the biggest downfalls of crypto, both to the end user and in the press and the general conception of crypto. You hear these massive hacks, you hear about this, and it really does put a bad name against a brilliant technology. So anything that we can do to, help bolster the security of all of our products, all our future products, and our native token, of course, we're going to do it, and it makes sense from a business model perspective, and it makes sense from a usability and an innovative future for all of our products. We can build more and more onto our own chain, and it's only going to benefit everybody that uses the chain.
Yeah, I think it's one of the most exciting things that, about the roadmap and the products moving forwards. It is the ability, what you can do with that product and what can be done. It's probably the more interesting side of when we're talking about roadmap and features and what we can add in and do. There's some really cool stuff. Obviously, we can't really talk about all of it yet, but there's some really cool stuff that can be done at that base layer that really allows for genuine innovation, which I think is
we kind
really
of come from a very unique angle, to be honest, whereby we're not saying, well, we're building this chain, let's encourage people to use it. We're bringing the products already. We'll be building the products. We'll have TradeStrike, the StrikeX Wallet. We'll have users. So we're not relying on third parties to build on top of our chain to begin with. It will have an existing user base ready to be ported over and use our own chain. So it's quite unique. We're not a startup in that sense. We will have an entire user base ready to use the chain. So it's quite unique. We're in a unique position in that way. I think we go through these last questions a bit quick fire because they seem to be a little bit all over the place. So let's just go through them and we'll answer them to the best of our abilities. So let's go.
Any partnership updates?
Nope, not now. That was quick. Nothing that I can say publicly now, no.
Okay, cool. So question for Rob. When will you be adding to the team and what positions will be filled next?
So we have a plan. Which is linked to user adoption. We are looking at additional marketing resource and additional technical resource at the moment. We have variable teams in place for admin, assistants, accountants, all that sort of stuff. Finance department are all in variable pools and outsourced. So the core team will be predominantly marketing and technical as we expand and move forwards.
I think they were expecting us to say, no, we're going to be doing everything ourselves.
Well, I've tried, but there are only so many things you can do when there are a set amount of hours in the day, and you do have to sleep for at least say 4 of them, right?
You know what? I think a lot of people are surprised the amount of employees we have. It's not just us 3 just doing all the work.
I know. I think we get asked in the Discord quite a bit, where's Rob, where's Jason? We're not going to subject you guys to anybody else that works for us to the joys of social media. But yeah, I mean,
to be honest, I whilst I'd love to be more involved in the community, I just don't have the bandwidth to be managing that sort of real-time dialogue. Unfortunately, I'd love to be more involved, and as we move forward and the teams expand, then it'd be great to have that sort of more community-driven approach. But I think for right now, it's kind of your guys' bag, right? So
yeah, thanks.
You're welcome.
Question for Joe. Please, can you explain how the price of the token will increase in the future?
I mean, I think that we kind of covered that with the explanation of how the utility token works within our platform and how it will have more of a role when it's in our own blockchain and stock token bridge. I mean, I can explain how it will go up in price, and I can explain how it goes down in price. It's a utility token at the end of the day. The price is determined because it has a fixed supply and it's determined by demand, and that demand is generated by the products. That's all we can say. We're not going to sit here and hype a price up and say, oh, invest in this, because at the end of the day, it's not an investment tool, it's a utility tool. The price is merely a reflection of the utility that is being delivered by our products. That's why you see, Bitcoin, Ethereum, BNB have such high values, is because they're highly used, and that's what we intend to deliver with our products, be it TradeStrike, our own blockchain, our stock token bridge. We intend for people to use it, and we intend StrikeX to be the native utility token to those products and to the entire ecosystem.
Cool. Any update on the StrikeX merch? So yeah, we know it's taken far too long. On the face of it, it would seem like a very simple thing to do, but this year in particular, we've made it our goal to follow the correct procedures to prepare our business for what's about to come. Basically, the merch is ready. It has been for a few weeks now, but as you'd expect, the wallet took priority and all our resources. But the store is ready. The photo shoots have been completed. We'll be ready to launch shortly once warehouse and logistic issues are finalized.
Cool. I mean, just to add on that, I mean, it's something that I do hear quite a lot, but it's something that I've been actively trying not to get too involved with, purely because, and likewise with Rob, likewise with Kish, purely because we have so much other things to do that benefit the company a lot more than pushing out the merch. Merch will come for sure when we have time to take over ourselves and do it. It will be, we will, but Rob can touch on this. I know he's looked into it himself to try and get it done quicker, but
So
we don't want to waste too much time ourselves doing it, basically.
Yeah, so I've picked up the project now. The problem we had was around warehousing and logistics, and just making sure the process was robust and repeatable and didn't cause us any reputational damage due to delays or issues. So we want to do it properly, professionally, and make sure that we have, a business on the back end which does it for a living. So we're just finalizing a partner now, and hopefully it'll be up and running shortly. Don't foresee any major issues. Just working on a cost model that works for everybody.
Cool. What legacy do you want to create for the crypto world? So I think our goal is not for crypto itself. We're a business that believes the future of finance is in blockchain and digitized assets, of all kinds, and cryptocurrency is just a small portion of that. I think our legacy is going to be, in people getting everyone invested and bridging that gap between technology and usability. Create that emotional attachment. In the same way that someone uses Amazon to shop, or Netflix to watch movies, or Spotify to stream music. I think the next one after that is TradeStrike to invest with. And it might not be this year, it might not be the next year, but based purely on the strength of our team, our ideas, our plans, it will happen. Okay, so question for Joe. Are we still in good shape for rewards after the coins for rewards have been used?
So I'm guessing that's referring to the staking contracts that are currently running. Yeah. So like I touched on earlier, we will continue the current staking contract until the earmarked reward token supply has been exhausted. The way forward with staking is to make it sustainable. It's how we're currently running it is not a sustainable, continuous, option. It cannot. Those rewards will go, which is why it's a good time to stake. But it's going forward. It will be looked into. It will have to be a sustainable mechanism that is viable from a company, a business model, but also is worthwhile for the user. I touched on it briefly about wanting to overhaul how we offer farming and staking. That within the DEX, within the main trading platform, there's a hell of a lot more exciting ways that we can offer staking and farming than just locking up some tokens and receiving a reward. There's a lot more that can be done. Just for an example, I don't want to go too much into it, but just the idea of being able to stake your Tesla stock tokens and be paid in Microsoft, there's that option there, and it's something that we will be exploring, but it will have to be sustainable.
Cool. Another question for Joe. We don't have many holders in the USA, which is a huge market. Is there a plan to increase holders and users of StrikeX in this location? If so, how?
I think the important thing really to focus here on is that the StrikeX brand and our products, that it's global. We're a global brand offering products that hopefully will be accessed all around the world. We already can see over 100 different countries have downloaded our wallets. So it's obviously that they're going to, in all of those numbers hopefully will improve, as in they're all going to go up all around the world. But it's one thing, we don't want to focus just on one country. We're a global brand offering products to a global audience, and it's going to continue to grow.
So last question for Joe here. Crypto is known for projects failing for various reasons. What assurances can you give people on the fence about investing in a microcap that StrikeX will still be around in 5, 10, 15 years?
I have a lot to say here, but I'll try and keep it a bit brief. Obviously, crypto is known for projects failing. Yeah, it is. And it's because a lot of projects there's nothing to them. They create a cryptocurrency token and hope it takes off. That's it. And they will market the token with no real view to products, no real vision, no view to anything really, other than just to keep pumping their price. And we all know that fails. Since we started this, since we launched, we've seen hundreds of projects come and go, projects that people were saying, guys, look what these guys are doing. You should do that. Get on this. Now they've got 100,000 users and now they're dead. They're gone. Their founders are in hiding in Puerto Rico or something. It's something that obviously we have to be mindful of. It's a volatile market, and it's something that if you're a project that relies on the value of your token, yeah, you really do leave yourself exposed to the, ups and downs of the market. What we have been predominantly focused on from the start is that we are a software development company. We are focused on building our products. We have funded our products, and we have already launched one. We are not dependent on the price of our token. Our token is purely there as a utility token to be used in the future of our products. And like I said earlier, the value of that token is dictated purely by the demand of those products. So we are not as exposed as other projects to the price of our token at this stage. Also, probably vision and products aside, another big reason cryptocurrencies fail is due to security. A perfect example of this would be how Binance dealt with their security breach they had a few weeks back. I don't know how everybody watching this feels about certain levels of centralization, different levels of decentralization. Binance does get a bit of a bad rap for being quite centralized, but that ability to contact all of the validators and block that wallet address within a matter in under an hour was vital to saving their ecosystem. And that's something that I know Rob, with the great kind of background in security, is something that he takes extremely seriously. And one of the reasons why we've gone down a more centralized route in terms of our products and blockchain is that we can keep on top of security. And that's, it's just kind of putting out fires before they start. That's what we want to be able to do. But if they do happen, it's having the control over the product or the network to be able to extinguish them quickly.
Cool. In the public eye, the biggest achievement this year was the StrikeX Wallet launch on both App Store and Android App Store. What about behind the scenes? What was the biggest achievement this year, and what are you looking forward to the most? I know this is a question for me, but is there anything that you guys want to pat yourselves on the back about?
Well,
No.
I think there's one to pat you on the back about. Kish is keeping your palm alive.
I was going to say that.
keeping some form of plant life alive in your house for more than a week. I think we all deserve to give you a round of applause for this.
Well, you have to stand up once every few days to go deal with it, right? To stretch your legs.
But yeah, I mean, kind of going back to that question. I mean, we really see, you say achievements behind the scenes. Achievement behind the scenes. There's a reason if they were still behind the scenes that they're behind the scenes. We can't make them public. So anything that isn't at public eye, of course, it's an achievement. Something like the StrikeX Wallet, for me personally, I know it's already in the public eye. That's a huge achievement for us to launch a revenue generating product that people can access the world over. So for me, it's launching the wallet because it's the beginning of a great journey and a great evolution of a product. And yeah, I'm really super excited about it. How about you, Rob? Is it how many times you placed the wine in your wine rack?
Well, I mean, yeah, that's been a challenge over the last year. I think, look, I mean, from joining, you know, with you got with the two of you, you know, effectively a year ago now, to where we are, I think it's a really, you know, it's been a really great journey, really interesting, not without its challenges along the way. But I think, you know, we're here. As you say, the launch went. It could have, you know, we'd all like to have seen it go smoother with Apple's, you know, volume issues at the time, which is, you know, out of our hands. But I think, you know, as you say, getting the product out there, we are 3 months ahead of target. In fact, we're our targets are at week 12 and we're on week 2. So I think, yeah, it's been a really interesting journey, and it's been, you know, a real pleasure to sort of join the team and help move that forward. I think it's a really good starting point.
Yeah, I think generally speaking, our staying power, you know, especially in this market, has been fantastic. You know, staying focused on building the products was absolutely the right decision to make, despite concerns. You know, and I generally applaud the energy at which we work with. And it's not often that I pat myself on the back, but I think it's deserved for all of us. Question for Rob: is there a tip that you want to share with other crypto wallet developers in building their community or launching a successful crypto wallet?
No, because then they might do it. No, in all seriousness, I mean, the reality is that in being brutally honest, the community has been built by you guys. You know, I haven't taken a role at the forefront of the community in that respect. So, you know, the reality is that community has been built by you guys. And I think, you know, from what I can see, it's about, you know, constant communication and making sure that we're as open as we can be with our community. I think from a technical perspective, you know, applying a roadmap, sticking to it, try not to let the design team get carried away too often with changes. Sorry, Kesh. No, I think really, you know, trying to it's walking the line between, you know, delivering a project as it was designed and incepted at the beginning, and allowing a certain amount of customization and slippage of that project to make sure you're still current when you go to launch. You have to make sure that there's a core product, and then you can work from that. If you know, it's all well and good, people talk about working in an agile manner. You need to create version 1 and make version 1, and then you can be agile moving forwards. And I believe that is what enables businesses to be successful in developing and delivering content. I think if you I mean, I've seen it many times, if you allow dozens and dozens of changes to your agile workflow before you even launch a project, you end up being late. So for me, it was very much about keeping, you know, 80% of that core project the same, and allowing a small amount of changes where you both, Joe and Kish, felt particularly strongly about making a change before it went into the product. And I think finding that line is very important. You know, as I said, you have to have a product launched to then move into an agile workflow. And I think that's really the core of building a version 1 product. Yeah.
I think it's I think it does create a better product at the end of it. I mean, that 20% that we change, that is us listening to the community. And I think that's what, again, helps set us apart. We've got the community there. They say, you know, if they're expecting something to be in V1, says this is essential, and the general consensus amongst the community is, oh, this must be essential for V1. You know, we'll do everything our best and we'll get it in there, because we listen to our communities, you know, and we implement and act on their suggestions as much as possible. I mean, there's not many other projects now that you can join the community, tell them what you want, discuss with the leadership of that company why it would be good in a product, and then see that suggestion implemented. That's how we build best products we can. There's only so much, you know, there's only so much really that we can do ourselves. We wouldn't be here without the suggestions of the community. This is how we know what the people want. You know, you guys, we are the people, so you keep giving us your suggestions. But yeah, as much as it is a bane on Rob's life, there is a certain level where he has to say, look, okay, that's for V1.1 or V1.12, otherwise you will never get a product out. But I think, products by products, we're getting better at that balance. But there's always going to be things we try and sneak in.
Yes, there are.
So the last question here then is, when marketing?
I don't know if I mentioned it slightly on when somebody asked about revenue generation by the wallet being spent on marketing. See, marketing is an ongoing process. We're not talking meme coin marketing. We're not talking about paying botted accounts $1,000 just to tweet and then put a load of botted likes against it. What we've got now is an actual product, and a product that we need to market in a way that actually works. We can, of course, there is always a level of, photo opportunity whereby, we launched our cryptocurrency into space, for goodness sake. We are aware that there is a certain level of photo opportunities and causing hype and causing a stir to get people talking about a brand. But when it comes to improving our user base of products, we need to focus on targeted ads, well-placed ads, things that we can actually measure the level of success and the direct success that marketing has. And that's something we've already started. Something, we're obviously always on top of our game in terms of social media posts. I have heard people say, you can't just rely on social media. You can do a hell of a lot with social media. Do never, ever, ever underestimate the power of Twitter in terms of a marketing tool. It's something that we will keep using and we'll keep hammering out as much as possible. But then also things like search ads, well-placed banners, those things will, and they are directly affecting install numbers. And then you can scale up. If we've got 100,000 users, that revenue is, we can earmark a good amount of that money to marketing. That's why you see projects like FTX or Binance being able to afford to do these absolutely astonishing deals, these huge sponsorship deals where they're paying hundreds of millions. It's because they're paying a large amount of the revenue. They're making so much money that they can afford that, and it's all scalable. If you go back 3 years with FTX, their level of marketing was exactly what we're doing now. 5 years ago with Binance, what they were doing with Binance, with their marketing and the level of marketing they were doing is exactly the same as what we're doing now. Our marketing strategy isn't just hit and hope. It's not just picked out of the air. We've gone back and seen who has been successful in this market, how they've been successful, how they've built their community and their user base to a point where it does eventually snowball, and then they can scale up and do these crazy marketing things. So you'll continue to see marketing, we will of course do the photo opportunity, sort of marketing, guerrilla marketing when it comes to wallet launches, but the real marketing is continuous and it's something that needs to have direct results. And so far, so good. We're having those results and we'll continue to do so.
Yeah, and just to sort of reinforce that, people may not see a huge amount of frontline stuff, but there is a continual investment going on in the background. There is a link to user count and dollar per user percentage assigned into marketing, and those funds obviously, as we acquire more users, increase in line with that. So that spend will increase as with investment in staff. We're spending a minimum, every month, which is quite significant. We are spending money. By the end of this year, we will have invested hundreds of thousands of pounds since the wallet launch alone. So I think it's important that people realize there is an investment, there is headcount, there is work going on, and we will continue to invest and grow that. As Joe said, it's all relative to the user count. We've actually literally taken a percentage per user income dollar and assigned it into marketing so that we have that ability to cut into that market.
Now, Rob, there's another one that sneaks in here. So when blue tick and why take so long?
Why so long? So partly because you need a stable Wikipedia article about yourself as one of the options. We're unable to meet the other criteria, which are basically being visible in the mainstream press. So like the Mirror or the Times or Wall Street Journal, whatever, we don't have that kind of presence to be in there regularly. Whilst that's not to say we might never be in there, right now we're not. So the alternative to us is having a stable Wikipedia article, and that article is there, but it's been changed a couple of times, and obviously it needs to be stable for a certain amount of time for the guys at Twitter to be able to say it will be accepted and you'll get a blue tick. There's no reason we can't. It's just a matter of that ad being stable. Obviously, with changes in that product now, with Elon Musk taking over, there will be a different set of requirements coming soon, I imagine, and it will probably just become a professional subscription, which hopefully will be a much easier and quicker process rather than relying on people not modifying our Wikipedia ad for a set amount of time.
Okay, well, thank you guys. I think we're going to tie up there because I know that it has been an awful lot of just us rambling on. But I hope you found the answers to your questions that you submitted. I hope you found that we answered them well enough for you guys, and you've got all the information you wanted. Obviously, if there's anything that you feel that we didn't answer that you want to know, just drop me a DM. Join our Discord. If you're one of the guys that's sat on the fence who doesn't want to speak up in Discord, drop me a DM. I'll always try and get around to answering questions if possible, or just be more active in the community. We're a friendly bunch. We always want to include people because community is the heart of what we do here. So yeah, I think there's going to be another AMA relatively soon. We've got a lot to go through in the next month. We've got a lot going on. So there'll be more AMAs, more updates. The most important thing I can say now: download the StrikeX wallet, tell your friends, tell your mum, do it. Okay.
Excellent. Cheers, guys. Thank you all.